record. Okay, so I have no idea where I left off, so I'm just going to pick back up. But so I'm pretty sure that I was at least at this point of saying, okay, you guys, so I ask you today, what is needed? What is needed? What is it that is really needed as you are looking forward to your day-to-day task, but maybe having trouble achieving your goals or even knowing what your goals are? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that your business is struggling. Maybe you're not sure if these are the things that need to be done for your business. You guys, I have those same questions that so many of you have as well. I get it whenever I maybe start something and puppy is right here. I have those very same questions of wondering, hey, is this or is this not something that needs to be or not to be? I have those very same things. And so I understand how hard those decisions are to know what is needed. I think it's a lot easier to end up being like Martha, distracted and busy doing a lot of stuff that is not needed, than it is to be like Mary, sitting at Jesus's feet and just doing it because it's my lifestyle, because it's the thing I'm doing all along the way. Now, and by the way, I don't want to give Mary a get out of jail card, because she, as I shared already recently, Mary and Martha, whenever it came down to seeing what was going to go on with Lazarus, they both lost faith because they didn't see Jesus show up on the time that they wanted him to show up. So Mary was not perfect, but here we hear God's voice. We hear the voice of Jesus. We hear him saying what he really thinks about how we balance work and how we balance ministry, or hearing him. And he said to Martha very clearly, you're distracted and you're busy. You're overcome because of a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff going on with you, girlfriend. And yet, if you look here, he's saying that Mary chose the good portion. It's something, it's what's needed. I'm not going to take this away from her. Think about this. No matter where you are, whether you love what you're doing, whether you are just feeling like you're at your end and you don't know how you're going to balance it, and you're kind of angry that God has even called you to do this, whether you haven't stepped out yet and you don't even know which way to go, and you're asking all those questions that so many men and women asked in scripture, like we were talking about, who am I? What am I here for? What am I supposed to do? Wherever you are today, we're going to look at what is needed, and we're going to dig in deep, because I'm going to get down to the things that we don't usually hear people talk about when you hear things like business talk, ministry talk. Okay. First thing is reviewing and celebrating the past 12 months. Okay. For just one moment, maybe take out your paper and just brain dump all the things that 2021 looks like different than 2020. You know, before we can really look forward, and I'm going to talk while you're brain dumping, so you half listen, you can always go back to the audio and video. But before you can look forward, spend some time looking back, really. As one vintage ad proclaims, you've come a long way, baby. Now, I'm not advocating anything it advertises, but it is time to celebrate. Do you see how far you came from last year? I can for me. And you know what? I celebrate you. Some of you, there was stuff just deep, 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 buried deep down, and you weren't even stepping into it. For some of you, you were doing totally different things, and things are totally different right now. Totally different. Some of you took the leap from your jobs, man. Some of you had no option. You kind of got your tail kicked and you were it's been like you've been kicked out of a big airplane and you're free falling. You know what I'm saying? But think back to where you were in 2020. Some of you did the challenge last year with me. Think back to how you started it. Make a list of how you have grown and improved in your life. Think about it. Your family and your relationships, how are they different today than they were 12 months ago? Your finances, how's that different? Your reputation, your audience reach, your charity, volunteer, ministry work. What about your vision of your business or ministry? What about your faith? I want to challenge you. This will be your after a while homework, but take some time to really think through then and now. Really, so you can really see clearly. This may not be just a thing you do in a few minutes. It may be a thing that you do over maybe one of your days this week, maybe during your quiet time, maybe during your commute. I know that sounds dangerous, but it's really how I used to do things. I'm just being real. But think through that. Maybe even this year, let's make it a little bit easier for this next year. And let's set ourselves up right from the start. Maybe having a business diary where each day you just jot down a few things that have really shifted and changed. I have found through the years that if I will just keep a little list of the things I see God doing in me, the things maybe that I'm afraid of, the things I'm asking God for, the things that he's providing, the things that he's saying, the prophetic words I'm hearing. I know this sounds like a little extra work, but can I tell you, when you go back and read that, and I would recommend that you look at that the week before New Year's next year. But if you could get a good look at what things look like different or where you've come, I think you would be doing a big loud shout. And you'd say, Cindy, of all the times you're loud, you should be really loud on saying, I've come a long way, baby. You know what? At the end of this year, I can assuredly know I'm prophesying correctly. Actually, it's like brain dead. I'd be brain dead if I didn't know this one. But you're going to go so far this year. You will look back in December and seriously, it's a series of step after step after step after step. And I hear the Lord saying that there's some of you that are going to shock yourselves even by the end of this quarter, because there's going to be things that you get into position that you do that are going to be so significant. And you're going to, things that maybe last year, it took a whole year to do a few of those things. You're going to do so much more this year because God is there with you. He's such a with you God. Write down what you're doing with him all along the way. Also, this is a fun one. Create a yay me file. Oh, yeah. A yay me file. Like whenever you are doing something totally amazing and you push your limits and you hear from other people like what they're thinking, or you have a great review, or you take a great picture, or you have an email from someone that really administered to them what you did. Let's start collecting some of these things. You're gonna I don't want to say this in a negative way, please take me right, but there are really difficult times. There's times when we're tired. There's times when we are weary. And I'm not just trying to say this as a narcissistic thing. I'm just saying that a lot of times people don't keep the stones. In the Bible, the children of Israel, when God provided for them to get across a tough time, remember when they were going across the water and they were going to the other side, he told them to each take a rock and to put it there so that they could look back and it would be a remembrance. God's about remembrances. This is not a worldly thing. In fact, I venture to say that the church really should be about some remembrances. We need to be able to look back because it's not about us. I'm telling you, most of my list of yay me's, the things I'm hearing, you know what? When I hear those, it's typically going to be at times when I've heard the Lord and I've said, yes. And to me, the yay me's a lot of time are just affirmations of what God did to provide for me to get to the other side. It is just exactly, you may as well have put me up against having to get to the other side of the ocean because it's just that impossible feeling for me. You know what I'm saying here? So your yay me things are not vain, they're not narcissistic, they're not selfish, they're not self-promoting. Anybody that tells you that stuff, they just don't read the Bible like they should. Well, maybe they read it. Okay, maybe I'm making an assumption here, but I'm just saying they may have not read that story and it really didn't stick out to them the way it sticks out to me. I believe that there are those moments that should be remembrance moments. And many times we don't remember because we don't write it down. I years ago, one of the things I started in, and it was just kind of it ends up it's a discipline, but I really don't even know how it officially started. I think it started because I couldn't remember anything, but I started writing in my day timer every single day. I would write out the evening before, I would sit down, and I would look at what I wanted to get done the next day. And then the I would work that thing. I'd keep my planner out on my counter in my kitchen, and I would go throughout the day. I'd say, "Okay, this is done, this is done, this is done." I knew exactly what needed to be done each and every day, and I held myself accountable. If I and by the way, if I got to the end of the day and I didn't get it, something like things done, I would either work really hard to finish it up before the day was up, or I did learn the blessing of having Post-it notes, but I never allowed myself to move my Post-it note more than 3 times. If I did that, I'd have to sit down and look at that Post-it note and say, "Hmm," besides the fact that it wouldn't stick as good, and I think that's a really good strategy, but I would look at that and I would say, "Do I really want this? Why am I not getting it done?" And maybe I need to eat the frog. Eat that frog. Have y'all ever read the book Eat That Frog? It's a good book. It's on procrastination. But I have to say, what is it? Is this scaring me? Am I too afraid I'm going to enjoy it? Because I'm telling you, that's one of my problems I have. A lot of times I won't do the thing I really, really, really love. And it's what I'm really, really, really here for because I feel guilty. Somewhere we have to renew our mindset to say it's okay to love what we do. And it's okay to enjoy the work that God gives us because it's usually wired to how we are wired. It's usually that thing that is our gift to the culture. And it's okay to love it. It's okay to love it. It's okay to love it. And so when I'm looking, a lot of times I'll say, "Why didn't I do that? I know I love doing it. I know this is what I'm supposed to do." And that's when sometimes I'll pull a late night and I'll do it and I'll just sit back and enjoy it for myself. And it's so funny. Usually it's almost like I call it breakthrough. Like the meaning of breakthrough is almost like that like a dam holding things back, and all it takes is one little hole or one little spot where the water is chipping away, and then things burst through, and then when it does, everything else crumbles around and you've got the full breakthrough. And God is actually called the Lord of the breakthrough. That's one of his names. And what I see is many times if I will just press in and say, "God, help me get this thing done tonight." First of all, I love doing it, and second of all, he breaks through for me. I've seen it time and time again. Now, let me also mention there can be another problem, and we're going to talk about this in just a few minutes. It could be that I set a goal that I didn't break it down enough. So looking at it, I know I might need 4 hours, and all of a sudden I run out of time. I don't have 4 hours. Well, what does that mean? It means that I need to brainstorm those steps out for that one thing and put that one of those steps on my to-do list the next day. Now, I hope I'm making sense, but sometimes I'm just making it too hard for myself. I'm just making I'm not sitting and really thinking, "Oh my goodness, if I just had something a little smaller, then it wouldn't be so formidable for me to do. It would be more crystal clear what needs to be done." A good example, recently I started my podcast, and you guys get the benefit in the manual of step by step how to start your own podcast. I am so pleased with that one chapter. That was the last one that was written in the book this time. There's a lot in that book. We've got 433 pages of how to do things that are on your next step. For many of you, it is on your to-do list to do some of the things in the manual. Now, do I mean for you to do it all? Absolutely no. The whole title is Prep for Your Next Step, not 15 steps. And I can promise you, any one of those steps has taken me a lot of thinking to get them done. And it's been priceless. It's been the next thing. It's been the thing that was holding me back. But I remember working on the podcast and getting it launched. And I'm telling you guys, I would sit down and I couldn't do this because I hadn't done that, and couldn't do this because I hadn't done that. And I finally, when I said, okay, what needs to be done? And I went back to the best thing that Cindy does, which is go and really break stuff down into step by step by step. When I finally did that, then all I was doing was marking off my list. Okay. If there was something that was a little out of order, no problem. We just move the other things on up to above that. I am actually using it to launch my next podcast, my Bible study podcast, because the to-dos are already there. It is simply step by step by step. So we've got to know, like, we first of all have to write down and celebrate what we do get done. We have to take the things that are our yay me's, and we have to keep them before us, and and we have to celebrate what we're doing. It's okay to love what you're doing. It's okay to enjoy what you're doing. And that, as a matter of fact, it should be that way. It should be that way. So how do we really take some action here with this? Well, step one, understand your why. Oh my goodness, did I just start another topic? No, I haven't. I want for you guys to dig into this section of the book. Your why is so important. In fact, I've been praying about whether I'm going to come back and really look at that deeper, and just offer a bonus session on one of the other topics I had planned. So if I do, don't, just act surprised. But because I don't feel like I'm going to be able to get all of it done tonight. And we may need some more camping on this. But before you can set your goals or achieve anything in your business or life, you have to know what drives you. You hear people talk about the why, but the why makes a difference. I've heard some really incredible, incredible teachings on the why. And the why is, first of all, it's going to have to be crystal clear for you to drive you and motivate you to get you up in the morning so you don't roll back over, so you don't get on your Facebook, so you don't say, "Oh, I'm going to watch Netflix or YouTube." YouTube's kind of one of my favorite things right now. Well, come on. No. It's got to be something that motivates you and gives you so much passion that it gets you up. It forces you to pick up your phone and call that client. It forces you to it compels you to get up and make the plan and to do the work, to edit. It makes you have delight while you're actually producing it. Yeah. Now, your why can be totally different than mine. There on this question, there is no wrong answer for your why. It's yours. It's yours alone. There's no two whys that are exactly alike. More importantly, there is no right or wrong why. Perhaps you already know what your why is. I think we've got some pretty strong whys in our group that we've been talking about why we want to do what we want to do. Maybe it's to help single moms make a better life for themselves. Maybe you want to make enough money so you can retire at 50 and travel the world. Nothing's wrong with that. Maybe you might want to start a cat rescue or a homeless ministry, or maybe you want more time with your kids or your grandkids. Maybe you want to go on mission trips. I know there's several of you that you've told me, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to serve and do missions. I want full time to be able to quit my job, quit this other thing that maybe they have another business, but that business, they feel like it's distracting them from the thing that they really want to be doing, that they're in their real gladness when they're on the streets ministering, or when they go to the poor and they help them. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to make $1 million. Maybe you want a few million. Whatever it is that's driving you, every decision becomes easier if you start by setting your goals based on what your why. So you know why you want to do that. Otherwise, what'll happen is you'll make a big list, you'll check it twice, you'll have it in a pretty journal, you'll probably even copy it. Maybe some of you will be really creative, and you will decorate your pretty little pictures in your journals. I've seen some beautiful pictures, but then you go, I'm not getting it done again, Cindy. This is what makes the difference. This is it. So, answer a few questions for me. If money and time were of no concern, and by the way, answer this on the very first thing that comes out of your mind, because that's going to be probably it. Don't shut it down. But if money and time were no concern, what would I do with my days? Looking back at my last year, which events and accomplishments made my heart light up? If I lost everything tomorrow, what would I miss the most? Boy, that makes me almost get teary because I've been there a couple times so far. And I know what that answer is. Do you know that answer? If I could trade lives with anyone, who would it be and why? What is it I see in them that I'm wishing I had that was part of my life? With with these answers in mind, spend at least an hour writing out why you do what you do. This is an assignment for this week. In fact, it's your 10 points, your bonuses. How about that? Write it out. Maybe share it. You may want to share it with us because we're right here cheering you on. What's your why? What is your why? Why do you want to do it? What is it that can compel you to get these things done? Okay. Step 2 is get your business vision. You guys, I like talking vision. You can expect probably next month, several of my podcasts are going to talk some vision because this is something that I feel like is so essential. If the times I have not been able to see clear, by the way, it's just the same as these dirty little glasses here. I was thinking about that just a minute ago, how that topic's coming up. I better clean them. Well, I'm going to clean them right here. You know what? If the glasses are all smudgy and not seeing clearly, I'm telling you, I've had times I could not see nothing in front of me. And yet, clean them off, maybe wash them, and then put them back on, and things just get crystal clear. You know what? If we can take some time to clean off everything, put everything out, and I'm talking about not so much the attachment to some stuff. I started last year and I had 3 things in particular that I was grappling over. I'm going to tell you what they were because I feel like it's a good example. I had my mom to mom radio show that was a huge hit before. I was one of the first podcasters that was out there way back when podcasting first started. And so I was like number 1, and I was number 1 holding it the whole time because once you get there, you get there. You know what I'm saying? But I was number 1 in the category of family. Like I was placed before Focus on the Family Life with Dennis Rainey. In fact, Dennis Rainey came on my show to be part of my show. And I thought, wow, that was one of my sweet, hey, yay, girl things. You know what I mean? One of my moments where I was on the phone acting professional. I got off the phone and I was like, ah! And so, can I just tell you, I have those moments too. And so that was where it was. I loved Mom to Mom. I loved everything about it. I had also had several other podcasts. I had my Writer's Nook, and I called it the Writer's Radio Show. And then some of you may remember some of these. Then I said, well, writers, it's more than writers. I could feel already that it was more than just those writing content. It was also those who want to just have a business with their content or with a business. So I went to Family Biz, the Biz Mentor Radio Show. And by and about that time I had my sabbatical. So coming back, I was looking at all the things that I loved, and I loved those. But something about it wasn't setting well in me. And I mean, I even tried at one point, I renamed the Biz Mentor show to Iron Sharpening Iron Radio Show, and I loved it. But there was a part of me that I just couldn't make it work. I couldn't find time for it. Now, let me just say this, if we don't ever find time for it, if we aren't so passionate, so motivated, I mean, unless we've got some hangups like that, we just don't think that we're worthy, or we just don't think it's time, or we feel like we've got some more stuff to do in our life. And sometimes it can be just time where God is saying, pause just a moment, just get everything ready, prepare, and then he launches. Okay. I get those things, but this is not where that was. I was ready. I could have done it, but I just couldn't get a peace about it. And I even worked with my coach because guess what? Even as a coach, I have coaches. In fact, I had a coaching session today myself, and I'm so grateful for that. It was a blessing that I was blessed with. And I have coaches, I have therapists, even though I have had courses and qualifications in counseling. I have had personal trainers and nutritionists, even though I have some background and some training and certifications in that area too. I believe we're only as great as when we will have someone lock arms and go with us. And so I had I had my coaches too, but I couldn't, my coach, I took the problem to her and she said, why are you doing that? Why aren't you just putting it all together and just doing the Cindy Rushton show? And I was like, wow, that was like so easy. And it felt good. There was something about that that I knew it was who I am, where I am, and where I'm going. You know what I mean? And I can hear God, and like even today, recording Cash, it was like, that's exactly where I am. It's exactly the message we need to hear. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, felt so good. That's what I'm talking about. If we can just take this time to get really clear, crystal clear on our vision, then it's easier to run the race. In fact, if you will look at Habakkuk, that's the word. I was thinking Hezekiah for some reason. Habakkuk. In Habakkuk, it says to write the vision and to make it plain. There's one version that says, write the vision with big block letters so that you may run with it. And can I just tell you that if you can write it so clearly that you could run with it, think about how, I mean, big block letters. It's so clear, you don't have to worry. You can just take those steps and you can get moving. You can run. If you get to that place, I promise you, you will look back and you're going to say 2021, I crushed it. I did last year. And I know it was because of sitting down, getting the vision, and seeing very clearly what it was I was supposed to be about. Now, you started your business, or you're starting your business or ministry with a vision in mind. There's something you see, you know you want. What is it? What did you daydream about? What did you think? Okay, I'm going to tell you. Let me just take you back in time. I will never forget sitting in that 2.5 hour commute. And even on Saturday morning, having to get up and have to leave by 5 o'clock in the morning and drive that hour to work in that crazy traffic, even on Saturdays. And I remember one day in particular on Saturday looking up, and there were people that were in, and I need to do this sometime, they were in a hot air balloon. And I remember thinking, wow, I can't wait till every day till I'm able to be off and do some things like that. That's awesome. And then whenever I was able to be off on Saturdays, I remember thinking, man, I wish every day was a Saturday. Don't be surprised if you hear a podcast that's going to talk about every day being a Saturday. But this is what I'm saying. I had a vision of what I wanted. I was so deeply desiring the freedom of being able to just do the things that I knew God was wanting me to do. They were starting to pile up in my life. That's why I do what I do. Actually, you guys have probably seen that. I come alongside of you and say, hey, it's just an hour a day. Give me 30 minutes, an hour. We can get there. You would be surprised if you'll do some of this work. We can get you there. Think about it. This month, if you can just spend the hour a day for 31 days, that's 31 hours. That's like a whole work week, you guys. I didn't ask you to give this week, take a week off. I'm talking about over the course of this month. If you can do that, you not only will get your plan and hear God and be tuning in to his word and his voice so you can hear him clearly, because you'll know the questions you're needing still to have answered. But you'll also be taking action that one step makes it easier for the next and the next and the next. Do you know what's the hardest to me is getting started before I get my shoes on? That moment before I get my shoes on is the hardest step to go run. The other is getting up and getting out the door. That's what all of this is like. So what is your business vision? What is it that you really like? You dreamed of doing this. You saw it this way. Maybe you haven't. Okay. Well, what do you want it to look like? What is it? What would your ideal day look like? Let's revisit that today. Where would you spend your downtime? What would networking look like? What would ministry look like? Can you see the product? Can you see that first set? Can you see those blog articles? Can you see those podcasts? Man, you know something that makes my heart pitter patter? I mean, personally, the fact is I've never really had a favorite color. And I ran across my my this color, and when I saw it, it leapt off the screen to me. But do you know how happy it makes me that I see my thing here? This is so precious to me. I even go every time I put it out, I think, I'm gonna go and see it on Stitcher. I'm gonna go and see it on Audible. Let's go do that right now. I love it. There's something about just seeing that. Oh, looky there. Look at that. Isn't that cuteness? Well, y'all may not. I mean, let me tell you, if it was yours, you go, it's cuteness. But I love being able to see that. There's something about it that I just go, it feels right. What about you? You know that thing that feels right that you want to dream of. Where do you want to be in a year or 5 years, 10 years? Maybe when you look back, what do you want to look back on as your legacy? Let's just think about that. I'm not asking for you to have that answer tonight. This is an invitation to a conversation with God. He wants to talk to you tonight and this week. And then step 3, let's set goals. I said to set goals, they have to be SMART. Now listen to what these letters stand for. S in SMART stands for specific. M is for measurable. A is for achievable. R is results focused. T is time bound. Okay, so like for example, you want to set a goal to earn $200,000 this year. Let's test it. That's specific, it is measurable, and it's results focused. In 2021, it would be time bound. But if your earnings in 2020 were 150,000, then your goal certainly meets achievable. But if your goal, your income last year was 30,000, it could be achievable and it could not be achievable. Do you see what I'm saying? We have to really look at some things. So what do we look at? And it's not just money goals, it's not just business goals. I want to challenge you this week to look at your goals. I had a really good thing. Grant Cardone, he has advice to look at your SMART goal and as if, okay, I'm adding $50,000 to my income. If I want, say I'm making 150,000 and I want to be up to 200,000. Okay. If you're looking at that, what if you multiplied that by 10? And the 10 time rule, the only difference between success and I'm sorry, the 10x rule is the only difference between success and failure, is really if you're dreaming bigger and if you're pushing yourself further by setting goals that others might think are unreasonable. Now, that makes my head a little blown, because I feel like I'm also hearing that from God. He asked me a while back, I could just almost audibly hear God ask the question, Cindy, You seem to be making some pretty safe to-dos. There are things you could just do with a little elbow grease. But Cindy, I want to ask you what you really want. What do you really want? What seems impossible today? Because the way God tends to work is through impossible. It's kind of like if we were to say where we are right here, right now, and we were to look here and say, this is where I want to be in 2021. All the stuff that we're going to be doing throughout the year is irrelevant, but how can we just get here? Because you know what? We're more than likely going to put the things we know we can do right here. You know what I'm saying? I think that's playing small. This is the playing big. This is really what God's saying to do, but maybe somewhere between here and here is fear. So today I ask you, what do you want for your family and your relationships? What do you want for your finances? What do you want for your spiritual life, your faith? What do you want for your ministry, your charity work, your volunteer work? What do you want for business growth? And then break it down. I'm talking about, okay, say you want a certain amount of money, or you want a certain vacation, or you want certain time with your family. What can you do over, and you've maybe set it as a yearly goal, a monthly, let's set it as yearly, monthly, and weekly. I've done that in my business to kind of look and see, okay, how much do I want to produce each month? How many blog posts do you want to write each month? How many podcasts do you want to write each month? How much time does that take? Do you know what I'm saying? This is that nuts and bolts stuff. But also, if you're setting things that are too much, you're not going to get around to some of it. So I do see the benefit of being able to set clear goals, crazy goals, but also I'm not asking you to make a list of 25 goals to do in a year. I'm asking you if you had today the one thing and it's a biggie, come on, let's do it. Maybe it is building that website. Maybe it is blogging. Maybe it is starting that podcast. Maybe it's starting a coaching program. Maybe it's offering a mastermind. Maybe, on and on. Traveling to doing events, hosting events, having a summit, whatever it is, it's okay. What is that? Any of that is okay. And then create doable tasks. Like I was mentioning earlier, here's what it looks like for me. I will usually take, and every month I'll have a project I want to get done. And the way I do it, I break up the to-dos into things that need to be done each week, or by the certain due date. I'll pick a due date that goes back to those SMART goals. I'll pick a due date and I'll work backwards to see how, and not on the calendar yet, but I'll look at the due date and then I'll look at the to-dos that need to be done. And then I can easily put on my calendar what needs to be done each week and each day. And then I know, hey, if that's really reasonable and how long it's going to take me to get it done. Do you know what? If it takes you 2 months to do something and yet it's done to where it's with excellence and you don't get stuck, you don't sell out to your fear or to the crisis situations that happen, you just keep moving forward. Just think 2 months. Can you imagine 2 months from now being where you want to be? That's unbelievable. So create some doable tasks. And then ask yourself, what do I need to make this happen? Okay. Nothing operates in a vacuum. You need help. Okay. Say it to yourself. I need help. You need help. You need people. You need tools. You need training that's critical to your success. I can't tell you the number of people, and I know that they're really probably not my tribe, and I'm going to be honest about that. But I know the number of people that they'll go and they'll look and they'll study and they'll learn all these different things, and it's not really taking them toward the thing that is really their gladness. And they disappoint themselves. Today, I'm talking about make your list of the things you need, and let's start looking at where to get the help. You know, look at the business tools that you need. Web hosting. Do you need web hosting? I've got some recommendations. I love mom webs. Go to cindyrushton.com/mom webs and check them out. You need a mailing list? Well, I have my favorite on that too, obviously. Now, if you use other things, it's not my deal. I'm just saying what I love and I've had an amazing experience with. And I mean, I'm telling you, I love them. In fact, I probably need to paste and clip some of my links. I'll do that. I need to make myself an assignment. Note, Cindy, um, to make you a list of some of my favorites. My mailing list is Aweber. It's cindyrushton.com/Aweber. I try to make it so I can remember at these moments. My shopping cart, I've got a link to that too, but I need to make sure I get the right link in my head. But social media presence. Okay, some things happened this past week on social media that I know one of my favorites. I just got up to 10,000 followers, and I'm going to tell you, I have been so mad that I canceled my Amazon was Parlor. And somebody was asking me, they said, "You were on Parlor?" I said, "Yes, I'm on Parlor." And they were like, "Oh, isn't that?" And I said, "Whatever you think it is, you probably have been listening to mainstream media that attacked them." But I had contacts with some of my favorite speakers, favorite ministers, friends. I had already built my list up to 10,000 people just since June. And I'm going to tell you, I am less than happy. I was having more engagement there than I've had anywhere else. If they start back Parlor, definitely check them out. But not just that, I ended up this week saying, okay, I am going to diversify. It's been my goal this week on social media. It is what it is. But you know what? Already I've made some new friends. And I had to sit back and go, okay, maybe all this did happen for a good purpose, even though I have been mad and I've had to forgive them 70 times seven this week. I'm just being real because when you love something and it's just kind of like I was making some of my graphics there and I'm just not happy. Okay, I'm not happy. But here's the thing. Find the things that help you to get out there and get connected with people who are looking for what you have to offer. You need a social media presence. Now, let me just say this. You don't need to be sitting on social media all day because you need to know the numbers. There's usually about a 3% conversion from social media. Now, isn't that interesting? Because here's the most interesting thing that I'm thinking about this. It's interesting because this is creating connection. But the problem, I believe, is that it's very noisy many times. You're going to have to set yourself apart. You're going to have to be very clear. Oh, excuse me. Very clear with your message. You're going to have to be very clear about what you have to offer. And you're going to have to be very, very patient. And so you got to be out there. And again, I recommend that you build your social media presence around your name because they're probably not going to remember your cute, catchy slogans as much as they're going to remember who you are. And if they're already like following you or your friend, they could remember, hey, I'm going to look up Janelle or hey, I'm going to go look up Cindy, and maybe the rest of it will pop up for them. So go ahead and do that and share. And here's the other thing. If you put a blog out on your website, don't have the mentality I'm going to build it and they will come. No. That same blog post you can take and make a little graphic and share it out on your media. And in fact, if it's something that you're really proud of, or even if it's not something you're just busting at the seams to share, every so often reshare. I put myself a note in my calendar to go and reshare. And I try to reshare old things pretty regular, especially if it's something I love. I was just thinking a minute ago, the business tools and the links I've got in that. It's been a long time since I shared that, and it would be perfect for me to share. I'll do that this week. But social media presence is essential. Landing page creator. Now, here's what I love. Aweber has a landing page creator that you can even charge, like you can put your buttons for like people to buy from you and you can have all of it as right there in your email program. I love Aweber's new landing page creator. And again, that's what I use for my email list and my follow-ups, my courses, my e-courses, which if y'all want to talk about that, we can talk. I'm set to talk on that in another session where it's going to be one of the ideas. But if you want me to unpack some of that, e-courses are amazing because, as a matter of fact, my goal this year is to create at least 6 e-courses that are new. I created 2, like, one was like it wasn't really an e-course, it was a webinar. And I did another that was supposed to have been an opt-in, and I love them. I'm very proud of them. But one of the things that one of my coaches gave me this past year was the challenge to create some more things that or compel people to be on the list, that they get them over to the list, and they get them in a series, a sequence, so that you can nurture those leads. And that's something I'm going to personally be working on this year. But you need those. And again, that's cindyrushton.com/aweber. They are amazing. They've even got free ebooks that you can go and you can download. Just look at the link. um Webinar host. I love Zoom. I walked with a friend through Zoom earlier today. You know that you can record one on one, or you could record even by yourself if you wanted to just go in there and go live through your Zoom. And when you do, like right now, I am recording this session. It records in a video format, and it also records an audio format. I changed my audio format to MP3 because I like working in MP3. Those instructions and some of those details are in the guide for you guys. But what I love is that this right here, you could easily record. And again, it's free. Zoom is free. Everybody, like, you could go live, like make it connect between here and your Facebook, or you and it could broadcast out there to your friends that already are following you, and they could get to know what you are doing. Or even if you're recording, say you're recording on your Facebook page, for example, you can download the videos that you go live and you record. And in fact, you should, and then upload those over in your YouTube so that you can have it in another space. You can take, and the more that you can repurpose some of the things that you do, whether it's into products or whether it's other promo items. Like, to me, I consider anything like my YouTube, my podcast, my lives, all of those are pretty much promotional and marketing. And but yet, here's one thing that my coach said: you can take any of those, although they're way out there on the internet, but if they were on a certain themes of topics, you could take those and put those into one big bundle at the end of the year and have a product that people pay for ease and convenience. So it's things that you can do like that I want you to be forward thinking. We're going to come back to some of this in different things we do this year, but it's just, you can do some of this. And did I say Zoom is free? Facebook, you can go and you can get a free page there, and you can download those videos. All you got to do is use your apps to get in there, or your desktop. What about business training? Now, one of the things that I am hoping to do a lot this year is, between me teaching on business and also my friends teaching on business, I'm really wanting for us to have some good quality, cutting edge business training here. So, Matt, you're probably looking for him. I'm sorry. He's here, and he's in here resting. Um, but anyway, I today was so excited. One person I am so thrilled that said yes, he would come on my show or come in and teach us. I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait. But I've got some people that I am already looking to bring in. You guys, there's a lot out there. In fact, this week, I just joined Clubhouse this week. And Clubhouse, I cannot believe the number of people that are on there. I laughed because the first day I said, well, this is my first day and this is my first session on Clubhouse. I really don't know how all this works. And they said, well, first of all, you just called it Clubhouse. It's really called Crack House. It's so addictive. And I have to agree, it can be. But I love how pretty much 24/7, 365, it's looking like there's going to be people in there talking about amazing topics. Keep learning. Keep growing. Find the things you need to learn more about. Connect and learn from those people that do that. And then, of course, you may need connections with people like partners. Yes, you do. You know what? Our businesses do not grow to the level that I believe that they can grow to at the moment unless we are partnered up and we've got friends that we're partnering with. affiliates that we're partnering with, unless we even give our clients the opportunity to partner up with us and share us. Um, do you need virtual assistants? Again, I know at first I was thinking, "Oh my goodness, that's just something I can't afford." But then I started realizing how much 10 hours could do for me. 5 hours. They're the best at what they do. If you find the virtual assistant that's what they do you know what they can do in 5 or 10 hours? And that's pretty big stuff for us. Copywriters, graphic designers, video and audio. I went to Fiverr, and I don't know if you guys have listened to my intro and outro of my show. In fact, the guy who did that is going to come on my show and talk about voice for your podcast and your audios and videos you're producing. Um, he was so totally reasonable. I'm almost I just have to tell you, I was so excited to know that he did my intro for like 15 bucks and my outro for another 10 bucks. He provided music, I think, for 5, and I didn't have to go and hunt it up. I didn't have to spend any time doing it. I told him basically what I was looking for, and of course, by the way, some of the stuff that we're talking about of knowing who you are, what you're about, what your show's about, what you're wanting to do, your goals, you gotta have some of that together before you go to somebody like him, but I had all of that together. I told him what I wanted. Let me tell you something. The first audio is what I'm using in my show right now. He was sharp. You know what? Again, how much was that? 50 bucks? Wait, not even. Not even 50 bucks. And I got a professional audio guy. I will use him for everything from now on. What is missing from your business or your life to help you achieve your goals? Do you know that that intro and that outro was holding me back from the goal I had of getting the podcast going for months? And one of my friends, she said, why don't you go to Fiverr? And I was like, well, there's no telling what that'll cost me. I don't have 150 bucks. And funny, but it was that reasonable. Come on, just ask for the help. And then get accountability and support. You know what? You're going to have people in your life and systems in your life that help to motivate you when you just feel like giving up. They're going to help you to do a lot better job on what you're doing. You know, and I'm talking about some of it, I think, is actually a voice from God, where we want to know, is this what I'm supposed to do? And and if we will really be humble and not be so attached, like I know they told me early on, writers love their words, and I agree. But if you can have someone come alongside of you that says, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm wondering this, or I'm wondering, can you talk a little more on that?" It'll either give you more to go and do, or it'll help you to see that maybe they don't. Maybe there's something that you need to plug as a whole at on what you're producing. But no matter what, get some support, get accountability. That's why we have our community. And I love all of us. In fact, one of the reasons I made sure we had another spot, we set up on Freedom Lake and Facebook just because I want to make sure I have some options. And then I've told you guys, connect with me also like on Telegram or on Signal, because no matter what, we are going to have some way we're going to be talking. If you're on Clubhouse, definitely connect with me because I'm going to do some chats here and there. I may do something on time. I'm praying about that, figuring out what my week looks like. But at minimum, I like the idea of just turning something on and just, us talking. Because sometimes what I do is so one-sided. I like the idea that Clubhouse is community. I like the feel of that. So here's what I would love for you guys to do for this week. Okay, we've already had one assignment, but here's the other. I want for you to take a moment to really write down what you want for your life this year, for your business, for your ministry. What do you want all this to look like? What is it? I want you to write it out so you can see it so clearly that this year you can run with it. That you can run with it. And maybe that, and here's the thing. I want you to write it out as an assignment this week. And Yet I also would love for you to share it with us if please. I think most of you feel okay with that. Share it with us so we can come alongside of you and hold you accountable. And I challenge you to also, when you write it, set yourself reminders every quarter. Maybe it's April 1st. Set a reminder. April 1st. What is May, June, July, August? Set yourself the reminder. Go back and review your living document, your life document of what you want life to look like. Because something, I believe from the bottom of my heart in writing the vision and making it so plain that you can run with it. But the other thing is so you can hold yourself accountable. What's amazing is the times I have written it down so crystal clear, those are times that I have been able to meet my resolutions early in the year. Usually by the time I'm turning to the second quarter, I look at what happened the first quarter, and it usually is all my goals are done. And it's like an invitation to set bigger dreams, go for bigger stuff, go for the next thing. Can I challenge you guys to do that? That's, if I could have one thing that comes out of this, that's one of the things I would really love to see, because I would love to see where you are if you'll just go with this, if you'll challenge yourself to just ask yourself what's needed this year. What is my next step? I promise you it's going to have a huge difference in what you accomplish going into next year. Okay, you guys, I am going to shut off Facebook. If you're in Facebook listening, hop on over into our group, and I'm going to turn you guys off. I love you guys. Join us again next Tuesday. Be in our group. Come on, you are so welcome. And if you have questions, ask. This is a great time. This is my whole purpose, is so that it's not just another course. This is a time for you to have some coaching. And some of you I know have been starting to get your plans in motion, and now you're starting to have some questions. Yes, ask the questions. It's time for us to work on this stuff together. Access me, access the group. We've got an amazing group of people who are movers and shakers, history makers. You guys are some powerhouses. And so access one another. Anyway, goodbye, sweet Facebook. We'll talk to you later. And I'm going to go ahead and